How's it going, everybody? So today I figured I'd do something a little bit different. Today I'm going to just start the camera and talk about what's on my mind. And I'm going to try to keep it focused within a general subject, I suppose. But I just got a lot of things on my mind, and I don't like being limited to making a video about, like a single main subject. Now, if you notice, I don't have a shirt on, and I would have put a shirt on, but I just got out of the shower, and I don't really fucking care how I look. I think that most people care way too much about stupid things. I feel like your aesthetics, how you're looking, how you dress, I feel like if you place too much importance on that, you're harming yourself, and it doesn't really matter too much in the long run, depending on what exactly you're attempting to accomplish. And I'm not trying to accomplish, impressing other people or something like that. The only reason why I bring this up is because I get a lot of dumbass comments on some of my videos from random ass people who only God knows where the fuck they came from, commenting on my videos about me not having a shirt, posting dumbass comments like, oh, do you have to be half naked to make a point? Like, what the fuck? Like a video about curing an ear infection, and some crazy motherfucker comes on my shit talking about how I'm half naked or something, as if that really matters. Then the crazy guy goes on and starts talking about the garlic in my video was wrapped in plastic, and it's toxic because of xenoestrogens. But then I ask him, so how exactly are those xenoestrogens transferred from the plastic wrap to the garlic? I ask him, are xenoestrogens water soluble? Are they fat soluble? And even if they are, how does the garlic absorb the xenoestrogens from the plastic? What circumstances needs to be taking place? Does it need to be in a hot room? Does it need direct sunlight? And then even if it does absorb xenoestrogens, how significant are the xenoestrogens that are leached into the garlic? How significant is that going to be on my overall hormonal profile? Is it going to affect the person's hormones to a noticeable degree, or is it really not that important? But of course, crazy guy has to keep on arguing with me and telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about because I wrap my garlic in plastic in the video that I'm talking about how garlic can help you cure an ear infection. And meanwhile, the guy is suffering from ringing in the ears, tinnitus. He doesn't even seem to have an ear infection, and he's commenting on a video. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense at all. And I can't find many explanations, and he left a whole bunch of other crazy comments on there. It's really strange. It's really fascinating. It's really amusing, I guess. Just to see the crazy things that people will place tons of importance on. And the greatest example of this is internet comments, because a lot of people don't want to admit this, or they don't really take the time to think about this, but if it's really that important to you, you will comment. If it doesn't matter to you, you won't even bother. Why spend energy on something if it's not going to benefit you in some way? And then when you do comment, if the things you say don't really have any meaning, especially objective meaning, like if they're not making logical points, if they're not using reasoning and connecting dots to a main point, then the person probably, first of all, does not prioritize their time. Like, who the fuck wastes time commenting on YouTube videos? some, I mean, not actually, some comments are good, but I mean, who's gonna waste time like watching a video that they don't like, created by a person that they seem to not like, that they seem to have anger towards, and then commenting irrelevant gibberish, incoherent nonsense on the video about how bad and horrible that person is, trying to discredit that person with comments that don't make sense. You know, it sounds like that person is not prioritizing their time. However, of course, like, you know, if you're leaving questions, if you feel appreciation, you know, these benefit you and they benefit the other person, and they make the world a better place. Questions help each other understand and helps us see what's really going on, especially in regards to health and xenoestrogens. If you're asking questions and having a rational discussion like mature adults should, if you possess the intelligence to do so, well, then you're benefiting yourself, the other person, in the world. You're going to help to develop a better understanding of what's really going on, which can help you find facts and further the progression of science and research. Questioning is an integral part of science. Without questions, there's no experimentation. Without experimentation, there's no research. Without research, there's no science. Without science, well, we can believe whatever the fuck we want, right? Without science, without knowing the mechanisms of action behind things, you know, we could believe that, you know, we could believe that Siberian ginseng is God because it makes you feel so good, right? We could believe that, I don't know, this coffee mug possesses a brain and intelligence, right? Like, I could talk to this coffee mug or something, and you can believe whatever you want, you know? Like, that's the point. Like, there's a very strong purpose for science. And once again, like, irrational people, especially like that person who left me those comments, they'd be like, oh, that's ridiculous, you know? You don't need science to tell you that a cock won't talk back to you. You're missing the point, dumbass. You're missing the point. You know, I know a lot of people who believe that, you know, like, if you eat an animal under any circumstance, then you have some sort of karmic debt that you have to pay. And, you know, my question is, like, where does this karma actually exist? And at what point is it going to harm you? And you're so sure that there's a such thing as karma in that way, you know, spiritual energy or whatever. Well, like, how do you know for sure? You know, like, you can say, oh, well, in the next life, I'm going to become a cow and get slaughtered. You know, I'm going to be eaten like a cow, just like you're doing. You know, you're eating that cow, and you have karmic debt. And in the next life, you're going to be a cow that gets eaten and slaughtered. You know, just you watch, just you wait. But, like, that's something you can't prove. You know, that's what science is for. It's to help you understand, like, what's likely to be true and what probably isn't true, you know, or what can't be proven. And, you know, that whole karmic debt thing cannot be proven. Well, maybe it could, right? Maybe it could. But until we have some type of evidence that shows, like, oh, there's a next life and reincarnation is real and yada yada, you know, you probably shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. You shouldn't just believe, like, oh yeah, you know, you're eating that cow, you're going to become a cow in the next life, you're going to reincarnate as a cow and get slaughtered. Like, people believe in things that have no evidence. They believe in things that they can't explain with 100% conviction, and they try to convert all their friends. And, like, for me, you know, looking at that, it sounds really retarded. Now, I'm open-minded, you know, I mean, come on, like, I have videos about astrology. But the thing is, it's not the possibility of something being true that's a bad thing. You know, like, oh, you can't prove it, but you can't disprove it either, right? Like, yeah, so putting 100% belief into it is irrational. But entertaining the possibility that it might have some merit, that's a part of science. So believing 100% that something is true with no concrete evidence is retarded. Entertaining the possibility of it being true despite no evidence, and maybe it's not even impossible to find that evidence, I don't think that that's irrational. I don't think that that's retarded at all. You know, if you feel like God exists or whatever, and you know, like that's your thing, that's cool. You can even, you know, talk to him and say, you know, that he exists and whatever, but you know, saying without a shadow of a doubt, I know that this thing exists, but not understanding any mechanisms into which it could exist, you know, the mechanisms behind it, not having any kind of idea or any kind of logic, especially if this whole thing doesn't even matter, if it doesn't give you a purpose. Like, at least religion gives you some type of purpose, right? See, that's the thing, is like this whole karmic debt nonsense with the spirituality, spiritual karmic debt for eating animals or for lying to your girlfriend or something. This karmic debt, it sounds more like wishful thinking to me. People want to believe that there's karma that will bite you in the ass if you do something that they don't approve of. Like, oh, you know, that person, he lied to my mom, but it's okay. I don't have to go after him. Karma will get him back. People believe this shit because it makes them feel better about the situation. And if that's what they need to do, you know, believe in a lie and delusion to make themselves feel comfortable in their own skin, for me, I feel like that's weak. I feel like that's a lack of critical thinking, a lack of mental strength. But if it works, it works. I say ignorance is bliss, and I believe that in this case it's true. Many times I wish that I could delude myself into nonsense as well. It could make things a lot easier in a lot of situations. But when you're talking about like xenoestrogens, you know, leach into garlic, like, it probably doesn't make that big of a difference. You're trying to cure an ear infection, right? Well, if you follow the guidelines in regards to using garlic medicinally, whether it's wrapped in plastic wrap or not, I've used garlic many times wrapped in plastic wrap to cure infections for myself or whatever. I'm not a doctor, so, you know, take my advice with a grain of salt. But I've cured many of my own infections of many kinds with garlic wrapped in plastic wrap or whatever. Obviously, I don't eat it wrapped in plastic wrap. If you think that, you're absolutely retarded. And I didn't, you know, I cured the infection, and I'm not consuming the garlic wrapped in plastic wrap anymore. So, you know, it's unlikely to make a big difference. And even if I was consuming garlic on a regular basis that was wrapped in plastic wrap, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not likely to be a big hindrance. Maybe in the long run, but I mean, do I look like I'm low on testosterone? I don't think so. And hey, maybe there is a reason, right, for me to not have a shirt on. Look, am I low on testosterone? Are the xenoestrogens getting me? Maybe they are, and these are fake, like, muscles or whatever, right? Like, I don't know. You watch my lifting videos and think for yourself. I lift pretty heavy. I don't think I sound like somebody with high estrogen. But this guy wants to believe that xenoestrogens are bad, and they're going to fuck you over, and they're going to be leached into the garlic. And he only is saying that, pointing that out, so that he can feel better about his insecurities within himself. And once again, maybe this is me, right? Maybe this is my own projection, right? I have insecurities, and I'm like trying to believe that he's trying to weasel his way out of like his insecurities, and calling me like, you know, narcissistic because I don't have a shirt on. He's telling me this. Maybe it's my insecurities, right? I don't want to believe that I'm narcissistic, so I'm labeling him as crazy. I don't know. This whole thing fascinates me a lot, though. Like, why people think the things that they do. So, I mean, once again, this is just a brain dump, I guess. So I'm going all over the place. And that's fine. Back to the fucking cow shit or whatever. You know, karmic debt or whatever. What purpose does that serve in people's life, like that karmic debt? Well, again, like somebody lied to your mom, you want revenge, so you want to believe that karma is going to be that revenge, right? It makes you feel better. Or God, you know, only God can judge. God will judge him, right? At least I'm going to heaven, but he's going to hell. It makes you feel better about yourself, doesn't it? Well, that whole cow thing, because a lot of people seem to believe in that. I think it's just it's a justification, you know, because a lot of people feel guilt for eating another being's life. And I mean, if that's you, that's you. But that guilt does not equal karma. That's a series of hormones and neurotransmitters within your body that are being fired, you know, being set off to receptor sites that are making you feel those feelings of guilt. And it's really that your thoughts surrounding the whole thing that makes you feel that guilt, which makes you feel low energy or whatever. And so you could claim that that's some kind of spiritual karma, right, for eating the cow. You could believe that I'm going to turn into a fucking cow and get slaughtered in the next life. And maybe that'll happen. All right, maybe that will be me, right? Who knows, right? The thing is, we don't know. And it's kind of silly to believe in this kind of nonsense because we just don't have any evidence whatsoever for it, other than some people who might have like claimed to have reincarnated as Jesus or some crazy shit like that, right? Because there's people that say that. That's the exception, not the norm. And you know, science has shown that there are such things as schizophrenia, and there are people who believe schizophrenia is not a mental illness. Some people think schizophrenia is like a spiritual awakening, or they can see into other realities or something, right? Good thing we have science, because it helps keep us from like believing into things that can possibly cause us to go schizophrenic. When you start believing in things outside of reality, scary shit starts to happen. You can literally placebo yourself into going crazy. I know that a lot of people will be triggered by hearing that, but I think plenty of us have kind of felt this, where we feel like there's a lot of pressure, some crazy's going on in our life, and all the thoughts and pressure and like the possibilities of negative things happening, they can drive us insane. Some people can experience depersonalization or derealization from these thoughts. But the point is, we need science. We need science. We need to find out what's likely to be true, so that we don't fall victim to nonsense, right? And so that we can greatly benefit our life. And in the case of, you know, the thing that started this whole train of thought, xenoestrogens and garlic. Look, man, if you want to cure an ear infection, you know, there's many people who use garlic. There's a lot of other options. If you don't want xenoestrogens, well, then get garlic and store it in a glass container, right? Don't drink any filtered water, even spring water, because a lot of xenoestrogens are flushed into the lakes or flushed into the springs. Definitely don't drink purified water, right? I mean, of course, reverse osmosis supposedly removes xenoestrogens, but you never know, right? If you're scared of your garlic being spiked with xenoestrogens, it could be in your water, right? Don't breathe the air, because there's a lot of estrogenic toxins in the air that could potentially harm your body, right? Maybe you should just fucking, well, I'm not going to say that. But it's foolish, right? It's foolish. I know people who won't eat any food that has any type of soy in it whatsoever. For example, soy lecithin and whey protein. There was some guy at the supplement store telling me he's scared of eating whey protein because it has soy lecithin in it, which is an emulsifier, which is a part of the lipids found in soy. It's not even soy. It's not even exactly soy oil. It's a lipid from the soy. So it's an isolated compound from the isolated fat of the soy bean. It's so processed that it's unlikely to have any xenoestrogens in it. and even if it did, it's unlikely to make a big matter. Not to mention, pretty much every single thing we eat is going to be estrogenic to an extent. A lot of the pesticides being used, even on organic foods, have like traces of estrogens or xenoestrogens on them. The water they use to garden those plants have xenoestrogens in them. The meat that we eat, any kind of animal products, is likely to have xenoestrogens and naturally occurring estrogens in it. But it doesn't seem to really affect most people that much. What seems to cause, hormone problems are things like birth control, medications, a general overall lack of healthy nutrition. It's significant factors, not the little trace amounts of xenoestrogens found in plants or found in meat. It's not the non-existent estrogens that were supposedly leaked from the plastic wrap, right? But on the other hand, I will say, the science is pretty compelling, pretty convincing that if you have a gallon of water or water that's stored in a plastic container and you leave it in direct sunlight, it'll kind of like be a xenoestrogen tea. That's most likely not a good thing, but that's a sign that the xenoestrogens are water soluble. And whether they're water or fat soluble, the garlic has several outer shells and different fibers like cellulose and the husk around the garlic that's protecting it. Good luck with those xenoestrogens being leached from the plastic into that. It doesn't make any sense. But if you drink a gallon of water that was, soaking in a plastic jug in a hot room, especially in direct sunlight, science has shown that that's going to probably leach the xenoestrogens, and you're likely to experience problems. Not immediately, but over the course of a year or multiple years of drinking that shit every single day, then yeah, you're going to probably develop problems. But it stacks up over time. Trying to cure an ear infection with garlic that you might have put in plastic, in a plastic bag, that's unlikely to cause any hormonal effects. Doesn't make any sense. So the moral of all this is there's billions of people in the world. The internet connects us with those billions of people in the world, and you never know who you're talking to on the internet unless they have videos like me. Then you know whether they're a sane person or not. But if their name is, some kind of gibberish, they don't have a profile picture, no videos, and they're speaking a bunch of gibberish, chances are their brain is full of gibberish. They're either on drugs, they're a little kid who's just fucking around, there's some kind of crazy, they could have a mental illness, they could be schizophrenic. Who knows? But they're speaking gibberish, then there's probably something wrong with them. They could be alcoholics. People I've seen in real life that talk like them and make huge deals over dumb things like that, without even understanding why and not knowing why they care, not knowing not even understanding the things they're saying. Those people usually have some kind of problems. So who knows? Who knows? Sounds to me like the guy's crazy. But yeah, so I just thought this was very fascinating, and I figured I'd break it apart. Who cares, right? So I hope you enjoyed that content. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of value that a lot of people can take from it. And if not, oh well, why the fuck are you watching? Subscribe, like, and comment. Let me know what you think.